Hi everybody, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to knit the coffee bean stitch from the Cozy Coffee pumpkin and the coffee bean pumpkin. This is basically a popcorn stitch, but if you've never knit a popcorn stitch before, I'm going to show you guys how to do it. I'm going to be using two different colors today. So if you're using a single color for this pumpkin style, either one of these two pumpkin patterns, you won't need to worry about the float or joining any different yarn colors. But if you're using two different colors, something to think about is it's a pretty long float between those coffee bean stitches, so you want to make sure that you keep it loose, and you can also consider twisting and pinning your contrasting yarn, which I'm going to show you how to do in this tutorial. So this is going to be the coffee bean stitch or the popcorn stitch, as well as how to carry those floats behind your work. All right, so I am ready to start the round with all the coffee bean stitches in it, and I've attached my contrasting yarn color. Because I only am using this for the coffee bean stitch, my preference is to just attach it and then cut it. That way I'm not carrying like any extra yarn while I'm working in just this purple yarn here. You can do it however is best for you. This is just what works for me. So I've joined my coffee bean stitch color, and I'm going to go ahead and start this round. So if you're working along with this pattern, it's in the Cozy Fall Vibes 2 bundle. All right, so I'm going to start out with my main color, my color 1, knitting 2, and then in the middle here on the third stitch is where I'm going to be doing my coffee bean stitch or my popcorn stitch. So I'm going to start with knit front and back, which is the increase. I have another video on just the knit front and back, so if you haven't seen how to do that, I'm going to be showing you here as well. So I'm going to be knitting with this color here for my coffee bean. So I'm going to knit into the front and back of this stitch here. Okay, so the third stitch in on this round, this will be my coffee bean stitch. I'm going to knit front and back 2 times. So something else to note is that you want to try to keep some space here in this stitch. You want to keep your tension really loose, especially in this stitch here, which if you're a tight knitter like I am, it's a little bit of a struggle, but practice makes progress. We're going to get better with it each time we do it. So I'm going to take my yarn here. I'm knitting in the front. I'm going to bring my needle to the back and knit in the back of that stitch. And I'm going to do that twice. So what I'm going to end up with for this coffee bean is essentially 4 loops on my right needle. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing again, and I'm going to kind of pull on this to keep it nice and loose. I'm going to knit in the front again. This is where it starts to get tricky because your stitches are getting a little bit crowded at this point. And then I'm going to bring my needle to the back and knit into the back. So you're knitting in the front and in the back. Almost lost it on that one. Twice. All right. I find you have to kind of use your fingers a little bit in this one just to stretch things out a bit, especially like I said, if you're a tight knitter like me. All my loose knitter friends, you're probably going to be super good at this. So you can see I have done knit front and back twice. So I have 4 loops on my needle. I've dropped that original stitch I was knitting in. I dropped that to the back. At this point, what I'm going to do next, and a lot of people, and a way I've seen this done is people will just pick it with their left needle and pull it over. I tend to have trouble with that, so I'll try to show you the first one here. So I'm pulling the second loop from the end of the needle over the first loop and off. Okay, and so you're going to do that all the way down. I'm going to show you another way of doing it, which is just picking it up with your fingers, pulling it over that first loop and off, and then do the same thing with the fourth loop. So I've pulled the 3 loops, all of them one at a time, over the front loop that was on my needle. And so now I've got this kind of popcorn looking stitch, or coffee bean looking, and I'm going to, that will be my stitch that I knit into in the next round. So I'm going to kind of just snug up the back of that stitch a little bit. When you get through this round, what you'll want to do is just kind of push that stitch through, and that's what it's looking like here. You'll see, you can see where I've done those here. You're just pushing that popcorn stitch or that coffee bean stitch through from the back side, and that's what's going to make it kind of pop out and bubble out, which is super fun. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys that again with a little less talking. All right, so I finished here. I'm going to show you how I'm going to carry my float all the way to the next coffee bean and how I'll go ahead and knit that. So I'm going to pick back up with my purple yarn. I'm going to leave the brown yarn here for a minute. Picking back up with my purple yarn. I have 2 more to knit in this section. And then I'm going to purl 1. Okay, now I'm ready in this next section here to start again. So I'm going to knit 2. Okay, once I've gotten here, what I like to do, I'm ready for my next coffee bean. Okay, so I'm going to kind of spread my stitches out a bit, pick back up my brown yarn. I'm going to bring it over. Okay, and I want to keep this loose. I'm not going to pull this tight. I want to keep it nice and loose so that that float can travel along the back side of my work. Okay, and how I like to pin that float is by just twisting it around once around my purple yarn. Okay, then I'm going to be working with the brown yarn. Okay, you don't necessarily have to do this. You can simply just start knitting with this brown yarn, but I like to do it to be sure that that float is not going to get too tight. Okay, I want to keep it nice and loose here. Okay, so a little bit of a twist, and now I'm going to do another coffee bean stitch. All right, so knit front and back. So I'm going to use that brown yarn, knitting into the front of the stitch, bring my needle to the back, knit, keep those loops nice and loose, and I'm going to do one more time, knit into the front, and knit into the back. So I'm just going into the back of that stitch. Ooh. And I can drop this. I have my 4 loops on, and I'm going to pull each loop over. The loop closest to the end of my needle here, we'll call this the first loop. I'm going to pull each loop over that stitch and off. So over and off. You can do this with your hand. You can do this with your left knitting needle. This is just what works best for me. I feel like I have more control over what I'm doing. And there's my coffee bean. I can push that. Once I get through, it doesn't look like it right now, but once I get through like my next round or 2 of knitting with the purple, it will sort of smooth out, and you'll be able to easily push this stitch through from the inside out, and it'll look more like a little coffee bean. So I would just continue around that way during that coffee bean stitch round, and that's how you do a coffee bean stitch or a popcorn stitch. 2 knit front and backs into 1 stitch. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. Hopefully you're enjoying the cozy fall vibes, and happy knitting.